Okay, good morning, people. It's been a minute. How are we doing today? So, today I wanted to talk about investing. I know for some time I've been discussing the issue of generational wealth with my mentees, and we've been discussing why it's been difficult for Africans to create generational wealth. Rather, we seem to have a complete handle on creating generational poverty. And I wanted to weigh in on that very quickly. So, the concept of investing is more of taking a peep into the future and deciding what kind of future you want to experience. Now, most times we tend to assume that anything we buy that appreciates in value is an investment, but there are so many layers to invest in that we need to first understand before we begin the process. Now, one thing to note is that the earlier you start your investment journey, the better for the future. Now, I've heard someone ask me before that what if you don't live long? What if the person dies young or dies early? And my response was, you have to plan and live every day like it's going to be your last, and plan like you're going to live forever. Now, the concept of investing is also one of the ways of living forever, because whether you like it or not, when you're gone, the only thing that will remain to remember you by will be what you left behind. I'm sure when we look at some names, that we hear in history, why we still hear those names till today is probably because of what they left behind. So you take somebody like Martin Luther King Jr., for example, or you take Awolowo, for example. You see that those names ring a bell because they did something remarkable while they were on this side. Now, that is what an investment is. An investment is something that you leave or that you put in place that continues to generate value even after you're gone, right? So, for example, there was a news that the discography, that's the body of work of Michael Jackson, earned over $1 billion after he was dead. Now, you can imagine that. It means all the work he has done created that much value, after he's gone. Now, that is an investment, which means that everything you do on a daily basis is an investment of sorts, right? So, investing is much more than just making money, it's more about creating a legacy. And when you're thinking of investment, you must begin to think in terms of generational something. So you're thinking in terms of, creating a legacy for the next generations, right? And that is why, it's very important for you or for us as Africans to take this very seriously, right? Because once you understand how important it is, you're going to be deliberate about many things, from the way you educate your kids to the places you decide to live, and so many other variables that you're going to be able to decide based on the specifics of the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind. So, investing is much more than just making money, it's more about leaving something tangible behind that the next generation can build on, right? So you hear of businesses, for example, that has been in operations, family businesses that have been in operation for years, some centuries. I heard of an hotel in Japan that's been in operation since the 14th century, and they're still running that hotel till today. Now, that's how many generations? Now, that is very remarkable. And it also means that you're understanding the fact that investing is much more than making money. It's also about making meaning, it's about making and leaving a legacy behind it means that it's a collective effort of everyone in your family. So it's not just about you alone. It's about everyone in your family, because when you begin to think about your children, if you, for example, make all the investment, buy all the properties, buy all the shares, and you leave it to stupid children, they're going to waste it within a record time. Yes, so it means that much more than making the money or putting the systems in place to make money, you also have to think about the sustenance of it beyond your generation. Yes, so that is why my own understanding of investment is first and foremost the systems and structures that you put in place to ensure continuity of the quality of life and purpose that you have set up for yourself and your lineage, right? So, for example, if generational poverty has passed from one generation to the other, there's no reason why you can't be the beginning of something better, right? There's no reason why you can't be the start of something great. And that is why you have to begin to think about the concept of investing as something that is much more than just whether you have money or not. Money is a component, it's not the main one, right? So, and that's why understanding this will help you first and foremost to take, of course, your financial structure that we talked about in previous series very seriously, because if you don't have a financial structure, you're going to deprive yourself of the opportunity to start something great. Because whether you like it or not, you need a seed to create a forest. But if you have no seed, how are you going to create trees? How are you going to create a farm? Or how are you going to create a forest? So it tells you that you have to be able to start somewhere. And they say charity begins at home. So there's nothing coming in your future that is going to magically put you on your path to some things. Maybe some people get lucky, but if you look at the numbers, it tells you that it is very rarely that people get lucky. Of course, there's an element of luck in every success story, but it is much more than that, right? Even the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he grows up, he will not depart from it. It's just saying that what you want to happen in the future, the actions of now will determine that, right? So you have to be clear about it. If somebody is saying, "Oh, I invested in Transcorp in January, and now I have 6 times my money," wonderful. But beyond that is, what do you do after that, right? Some people will say, "Oh, I'm going to cash out this and use it to buy a car." Some are going to say, "Oh, I'm going to cash out this and use it to go on vacation." All lovely stuff, but what happens to the next generation, right? What happens to 20 years from now? And that is what has been happening to many of us, especially as Africans. We think only of today, we think only of ourselves now. We don't think about what happens after we are gone. And this is a subject that is very, very important. It's something that we all need to begin to think about from the day we become adults. Well, from the day you become old enough to understand simple concepts, right? So, for example, my 8-year-old daughter will always say that if you spend more than you earn, you're always going to be poor. And, that's somebody who understands the value of controlling your expenses, relative to your income. But much more than that is also understanding that you cannot get what you want in the future if you don't make actions today that puts you in the position to be able to get that. Yes, so we'll progress this conversation in this series, and I hope you enjoy your day. Thank you for listening.